In addition to looking at trading ranges and how they could be indicating a continuation of a trend or the reversal of a trend, there are additional ways that we can kind of add confirmation to that. So let's take a look at some of these important ways that we can do that. A very important thing to look at is volume. And volume could be either rising or shrinking. And volume basically is looking how many transactions, how many trades are happening. Is that going up or is that going down? So if volume is rising, as in more people are trading the stock, or maybe existing traders are just adding to their allocation, right? So it's not necessarily new people coming in, it might be existing people, buying more. That tends to accompany a range expansion and really accelerates a trend, which whether it's going up or down, the trend could be going up or down, but as volume rises, that will tend to keep the trend going in that direction and really expand on it. If you happen to see an expansion of a range, wider range, but it lacks in volume, then that could be a mystery and you need to look at kind of other indicators where it's kind of giving a false signal here a little bit. So you could look at indicators like in our momentum section of the course to use to kind of confirm what may be going on. But the idea is if it's rising, it's going to look at an expansion or accelerating the trend. Now, if volume is shrinking, which means fewer people are in the market for this particular security, or existing traders are reducing their allocation, they're now getting out of it. Falling off volume often accompanies a range contraction where the width between the range, the height and low might be contracting and might be associated with falling volume when you're looking at a trading range, a range of prices. Another thing you can kind of look at is looking in terms of trading range and getting some indicators and confirmations is around the open and close position. There's really four combinations. You can have an expanding range, the prices from high to low are expanding, and the closes are getting higher. There's higher closes. So that tends to indicate that buyers think the price is going to keep going higher, is the idea that the price is going to keep higher. If the range is expanding, but the closes are getting lower, the price is getting lower, then sellers are getting a little bit more anxious and maybe wanting to unload that stock. Thus, the closes are getting lower. So you look at that expanding range in both a high or a lower close aspect. By the same token, you can look at a contracting range in high and low. So in a contracting range, they're getting narrower, not as big a width between the low and the high, but there is higher closes in this contracting range. Then it might be indicating that investors are feeling uneasy about the direction the security has been trending, and the higher close can offset some of that negative sentiment of the contracting range. So there might be a little unease. The range is contracting, but there might not be necessarily a reversal. They're kind of offsetting a little bit here. If the range is contracting and the closes are lower, well, that's kind of like a double negative for an existing trend. Traders are selling at a lower close, so they're willing to take lower prices, and also the range is contracting as well too. So maybe they're really just trying to unload the security and kind of get out of it, right? So, so that's an example. These are examples where high volume and lower close in a contracting range, as an example, and you combine the two, that can be a real big sell confirmation, right? High volume, it indicates that there's a lot more strength to whichever way the direction is headed. Lower close and contracting range shows that prices are going down. So combining them all together could be an example of a real pricing, big sell-off in terms of price on that. So there are some additional things to look for when you're looking at like prices and ranges and what might be happening, whether they're expanding, contracting with volume, and what might be going with an expanding range and higher closes or lower closes. Looking at all those things together, in addition to the other tools that we're going to then kind of layer on top of that.